Flash, issue 70, Joshua Williamson writing with Howard Porter on the art, and this is notable because this is the start of the Flash year one. Williamson's doing his own version of the Flash origin with definitely some new spins on it. And I think I could really feel, like, obviously we had set up in the last issue where this character shows up and says, hey, you have to remember something new about your past that you've forgotten. And there's that setup, but what I think is interesting, just reading this issue, just from a marketing perspective, is that this issue just starts off him as a kid, and there's no mention of that, and I'm like, yeah, this could easily be sold as a trade called Flash Year 1 later, without ever reading anything from the run. You could just...
Yeah.
That's presumably the point.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Here's the thing. Do we need a reimagining of Barry's origin? Absolutely not.
No.
Like I don't feel like we need this.
I think that's what
whatsoever.
I said last issue. I was a bit cautious, just like, why?
Yeah. That said, did I have a ton of fun reading this with the way that Porter has it drawn out and the way that Williamson is choosing to tell Flash's origin? I am absolutely into this. This was a lot of fun to read.
Yeah. I have a few stylistic things with the art I'm not a big fan of. They're obviously choices. I understand them. I just don't like all of them. A lot of empty space and white backgrounds at points that it just feels empty, and I'm not a big fan of that.
But you're empty inside, so why are you complaining?
He doesn't like the reflection.
I have to fill the emptiness with something.
Yeah.
Booze and donuts.
Oh man, that sounds like a great combination.
No, I liked the issue too. I think if I have complaints about it, is early on the issue, see when it's the crime scene stuff and Iris is there and August like, hey, you should ask Iris out and all that stuff. Like, I was feeling the pacing and I was thinking to myself, oh, this issue will probably end with a lightning strike. Right, that's how the first issue ends. You're in your
and
Flash
then it's
origin.
like 3 pages later.
It's like 3 pages later, and at that point, I feel like it was starting to rush through it a little bit, and it was starting to make me feel like, well, what's the point of doing this? We're just going to rush through it. You know, bask in it. You know, let's explore all these moments and how it feels to be the Flash and all the rest of it.
Up until the lightning strike, I was like, this is very prequel-y, and I don't like it. And then we got to lightning strike about halfway through, and I was like, oh, okay. And then we're gonna see him having to adjust. But I did love Iris's entrance. I just love that because of what we know about them and Barry always being so cautious about her.
I think,
and to see that.
My problem with the pacing is after he gets his lightning strike, we basically get this montage of him just doing everything he has to learn as the Flash. He's like, oh, I can phase. Oh, I can do this. Oh, I need to eat.
Yeah, I'm like, whoa, he learned to phase in like 2 days.
It's just, I think it's too much too quickly, and that kind of bugged me. And I guess it almost just kind of feels like...
I'll tell you what bothers me, actually.
Okay.
On this note here, is he does all of that, relatively speaking, advanced stuff, right? Like the phasing, before he can even stop running.
But
he can't even run properly, and he can phase.
But I can understand that with the way that Williamson's setting up the Speed Force here, is that through this Force's subplot, is there's always a secondary aspect to it, right? And so I feel like him, when he's getting into it, was the phasing was the first part, and once he got that, he's able to settle himself down. It's kind of what he taught Avery, right? Early on.
I kind of hate that scene where he's running for the first time and he's enjoying it. You know, that smile comes on his face.
Yeah.
That should have been before any of the other powers.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I can get behind that. I can also, I feel like it just rushes through everything. And make your Flash jokes if you want here about the moving too fast, but I do think it moves too fast through. Like, does he need all these other powers yet? Can that just be something? Even if you don't want to have it in the arc, just you learned all those things after year one. Like,
I might just have my time travel bias on too, because of where it ends up. So I might be looking at it differently next week. After it's had time to sink in.
I have to admit, I don't really like the idea that the first time he properly runs at because obviously he's running really quickly. He's going 100 miles per hour, 200 miles per hour, whatever, right? Yeah. But then at the end of the book, he finally goes, lightning fast, where he, the actual sparks start flying, right? The first time he ever does that, he runs into the future. I don't know if I like that the first time he ever runs at that speed, he goes into the future.
I'm torn. On one angle, I like it's a complete lack of control, right? Which is why he ends up in the future. Alternatively, some build to that speed would have been nice, rather than the first time he runs.
But I like that. I like that accident, because then that's what's gonna make him be so cautious later. Because he had a hard time with the shoes, right? So of course we get the Wayne Tech stuff. So that's what was limiting him was his shoes. He has these new ones now, right? But he's like in D2 the Mighty Ducks. He's the kid that can't stop, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here he gets going, he can't stop. He ends up in this future where now his presence gonna mess up everything.
I don't
so
like
old self has to come and be like, "What are you doing, idiot?"
I don't like that within days, weeks of getting his powers, he's already went to the future. It feels like we're rushing through too much Flash mythology and his origin so quickly, and it makes it all feel kind of meaningless to me.
It's because this, Flash year one in our heads, we're going right. The running, the eating, the phasing, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not what this story is. Flash year one is a story about the future.
Yeah.
And it's like, all that other stuff that you thought was Flash year one, that's week one. We'll get that out of the way.
This is basically Secret Origins Flash, where we're learning stuff that we don't know. So maybe Secret
Origins would have been a better name.
Well, here's the thing. This would all be fine if it didn't pretend it was that though for the first half of the book. Like, see if it just said, no, the origin stuff that you expect to happen is happening, we're just not focusing on that, right? This is something that happened by accident right at the start of his career.
Yeah, I think year one's the problem here because with DC, year one carries a weight to it. That's the origin arc. So yeah, I definitely get what you're saying, Pete. But here, I like that Williamson subverted our expectations here and goes, "Oh no, this is what really happened during Barry's first year, and this is why he doesn't remember it." Because
Pete said, "Oh, he doesn't like it," and I don't think I really like it that much either, to be fair. But I think it's you're going, "Oh, it's pretending to be that for the first half of the issue," because it's for the first half of the issue, it's pretending it's year one, and then it goes, "Oh, got you, we're actually a secret origin."
Yeah, it's pretended to be year one, and then it rushes through all the things that because typically, as much as we complain in movies that there's too many origin stories, I actually like proper fleshed out origin stories in comics because most of these characters were created in a time where they got like 2 pages of origin, and it's just not just a character, right?
And
so
you want them updated for
exactly. So I like Batman year one. I like Superman Birthright / Secret Origin.
That's what I was gonna say. Is Birthright a year one or is it a Secret Origin?
That's a year one.
Birthright's closer to a year one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Birthright is
my favorite Superman story of all time. So,
but Birthright is a straight here's a very traditional. Here's the origin with extra detail. Whereas Secret Origin is here's shit you didn't think you knew.
Right.
Yeah. So, but at the same time, it still functions as an origin story. Like I think you can still read Secret Origin, and it still functions as a perfect start to Superman if you've not read a Superman origin before.
It's great. But even if you go just strict year ones. Obviously, you got Batman, Green Arrow, Robin, Batgirl, JLA. Yeah, that's a really good year one.
And it's not so much that you have to spend time focusing on everything either. Like if this issue ended with the lightning strike, or even ended with him running, like maybe the lightning strike still happens halfway through, and at the end he runs properly for the first time. You can skip time for issue 2. You can come into issue 2 and say, no, he's been doing this for like 5 months now, and he's honed it in a little bit. He's a bit better at it, and we can sort of get to the next.
This is only 6 issues, isn't it?
Think so,
because this is going to sound really bad, but I'm going to go back on what my thing was. It was from last time we spoke about this. I was going, this is 6 issues of derailing the book, and then and we all went, well, at least it's not 0 year, right? And then I've gone to this and gone, this clearly needed at least 7. Clearly, because this ending, the end moment of this should not have been the end moment. Him running for the first time, like you said, that's the ending to this issue.
Yeah, knowing that Williamson's such a Flash guy and he loves Bart and he got to reintroduce Bart, I almost wish this wasn't Old Wally at the end and it was Max Mercury, and this is how he learns about the Speed Force.
Well, do we even know exactly who this character is at the end? I mean, isn't that what you say? But... Sorry?
It says we.
Does it say we? Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
When are we going to learn? You can't. Yeah.
Fair enough.
So, and plus, it's a throwback to what we saw during. It wasn't Godspeed. I think it was the Reverse Flash stuff. That the older version that hinted at the Tornado Twins and whatnot.
Yeah, and
we had the beard and the ponytail. Same kind of vibe.
And I think the hurdle this story has to get over for me personally is in Connor knows my feelings on this in a general sense. Now, admittedly, this is time travel, and he's going to forget it all at the end, whatever. But Connor knows all too well that I'm not a big fan of shoehorning in things into the history of characters.
He really hates it.
Where I'm supposed to believe this happened between these two things. It's something that bugs me. It bugs me, like, I mean, just to stick with Star Wars comics, like the current Star Wars comic book is set between, like, episodes 4 and 5, right? And it's been the whole time. It's like 60 issues or something like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right?
To be fair, that's always been 3 years. So you get a lot done in 3 years.
Only Star Wars books I'm reading right now are the Age of books. Yeah. So those take place all over there.
No, but it's one of those things that it just bugs me that all this is supposed to have happened in that time. And you can say there's been 3 years of time, sure, but do you watch Empire and feel like emotionally the characters went through all these journeys together since the last movie?
I mean, they do feel like a lot closer, and there's a lot going on between them. You can tell a lot happened between them when you get to Empire compared to where they were at the end.
Like, so this isn't the exact same because it is time travel and he's not going to remember it, so it's not like it has to explain why he's never brought it up before or anything like that. Right. But I feel like in media, because people constantly want to go back to the character's past and insert things, we constantly have to come up with reasons to why it's not. You know, me and Connor was
Emiko Queen.
Me and Connor were watching Star Trek Discovery, and one of my problems with that, because that's a prequel show, is like, why is Spock never mentioned that he had this half sister? And in the season 2 finale, I won't spoil it, but in the season 2 finale, Star Trek Discovery, there is this really shoehorned in explanation as to why it's never brought up again, and it feels so bullshit. And clearly, the intention of this right from the start is that no, Barry never remembers this, and the whole point is this is a secret in his history that he has to remember for some reason. Okay, fine, but ultimately, there's conceptually just a block for me where I have to get over that, and they're going to have to convince me that whatever happened in this future story is worth the effort of going through it.
Do you know what I think is really fascinating? Yeah, we talked about how this seems primed to just have as a Flash Year 1 trade, right?
It did for the first half of the issue, didn't it?
well, no, that's I think it still probably is the intention, but with it being all, this is what you forgot, I feel like, okay, now we're playing with the future and that sort of stuff. I feel like this is actually going to tie into the run quite a bit, and it might, by the end, is it going to be fulfilling in its own right as a trade on its own? And
it may not be.
Again,
9 times out of 10,
it's more of a Secret Origins.
Yeah. 9 times out of 10, we would never consider this, right? We would never say, oh, but it doesn't work on its own. It's, because it's, trade 9 of a run or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But when they're calling it Year 1 and they're likely going to go, here's Flash Year 1 and sell it as that.
Though. I mean, I suppose since I've read it, but didn't Green Lantern's Secret Origin also work perfectly fine as a standalone origin story? I think it did, right?
Well, yeah, but it also sowed seeds of what Johns was doing. So if it was your first, foray into Hal, you still needed some of the stuff that we got because it plays into arcs before.
I still think that one
not as bad as something like this.
I still think that one worked completely as an order. I mean, sure, there's definitely small details and things where if you'd read it in the order of like reading the run, it would be like, hey, that's linking up to this stuff. But
the Hector Hammond stuff in particular.
But that book's that arc still worked. If you handed someone they'd never read Green Lantern before, you could hand them Secret Origin, and that would still work as a origin. I
haven't read it recently enough to be sure that you're right on this, so we'll have to just take your word.
But it does move. It doesn't move nearly as fast as this, but it does go through Hal's origin.
Yeah, at the very least, though, I remember that going through the origin and doing all the beats in a pace that felt kind of natural. Whereas this, it's like, no, let's rush through the actual origin so we can do this secret part. Because, I mean, is the rest of the whole 6-issue arc now going to be in the future until he comes back?
I suspect yes.
I don't think so. I think that there's going to be lessons about time travel and whatnot and the forces. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's necessarily
that's something I'm not looking forward to, tying in all the forces into.
I definitely think that's where Williamson's going with this because of what led to this.
That might actually date this and make it like a make it a year one that stops being timeless because most of the year ones you can kind of read no matter what the continuity is, they kind of still function.
Right.
I'm not sure this one's going to. I think this might be too tied to this run, too tied to this continuity. When in 5 years' time we got new writers, and they're all those forces. That's all forgotten about, right? We're never touching on them again. I don't know if this will stand up to that.
I like this less talking about it I did after I read it.
Oh no,
as
I mean,
well.
I'm still into it.
Joe, my problem is I think the way I don't know who said it earlier, it was Matt. This is there's a potential here with the ending of this that this is going to remind me way more of Zero Year than it is of any year one.
Yeah,
and that terrifies me.
Maybe. So we'll call this. Oh, I can't call it 1 year. Damn it.
I just I was looking forward to just getting a nice streamlined version of the Flash origin.
See, and I don't.
With Williamson's voice.
And I don't. Yeah, see, and I didn't need another Barry because I've seen Barry's origin enough times.
Well, it's not so much that I needed it, but I think I would prefer just a nice streamlined.
I think I needed at least an issue of it. I think we needed that one issue of, okay, here's the origin beats, the running, because this does the running, the phasing, the eating, all in the space of about 3 pages. I think we needed at the back half of the issue still just to, okay, maybe the out of control bits, okay, hang on, I'm eating a lot, and then, okay, let's see how fast I can go, and let's try and stop and do the running, and in there, all the phasing, the time travel, I think that needs to come in the second issue.
I hate to agree with Connor. Then you know what I do.
All I know is that I need to get into the Speed Force somehow so I can justify all the food I eat.
Not as much as Connor. It's because I actually I think Williamson's voice is great for the character. I love the art in this. It starts moving too quickly, and then the ending it just turns it into this thing that I wasn't expecting. And it's not so much that it has to just be what I expected. It's just that okay, so now we're doing this future story instead of actually just doing like a nice streamlined version of the origin.
I just want to just slightly relish in the hypocrisy for a second here, because all the time when we talk about movies, especially with Peter, I'll say, yeah, but it did these things that I wasn't really expecting based on the trailer, and you're like, just enjoy it for what it is. And this here, you're going, well, I was expecting an origin. I wanted a year one, and now I'm getting all this future stuff.
No. I disagree with this hypocrisy comment here because this is different.
Of course you do.
No, but this is different because this is it's not even that it's called year one though. I mean, I guess it partly is, but this is part of the run, and it's not so much. I mean, if it wasn't going to be a year one, I can get on board with that. Although it'd be weird that it's called year one. It's that I just don't know if I like what it's doing at all. It's not just that, because usually when I say that to Connor when I'm talking about a movie, it's because I like what it's doing. It may not be necessarily what the trailers set me up for, but I still like what it's doing. I still think what it's doing is good. I'm worried I'm going to hate that. I don't think I like that it's this weird story in the future.
I'm in the opposite of where I think I might end up still really liking this, but I'm annoyed that it's not what it's supposed to be. It's not the story that I was promised. Again, if they'd called this Secret Origin, I'd have a lot less problems. I'd still have some problems with this issue structurally, and the pacing, but I don't think I'd have as much of a problem with the story as a whole.
Yes. I mean, I might end up loving what it does here. Maybe this will be a great story of character development for Flash and whatever. But the shock value of the ending, and I think the other thing is we've done a lot of time travel stuff with Barry recently as well. I'm kind of like,
you're getting a bit burnt out on it.
I'm a little bit burned out on it. I could do with Flash not have anything to do with time travel for a couple of years.
Yeah, I'm digging the t-shirt and jeans look.
Yeah, it's okay. It's better than when Superman wore it.
Knew that was coming.
This makes more sense though. He's just got, because I also like that his t-shirt doesn't actually have the lightning bolt on it. It's just now he's got a red shirt on with some jeans and some knee pads.
Yeah.
Yellow collar as well, I think, right?
Yeah, but it's not like he's got his symbol, because that just.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna come with the lightning. He's gonna learn.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's seen old Barry now, so it's just like, hey, I'll take that.
Hey, I like that.
That's the problem. Now we've got causality and time loops and snake eating its own
I
tail.
think I just made
nonsense.
Pete hate it another point.
Yeah.
Actually, no. You're right. I kind of hate that he's seen the Flash logo from the future before he thinks of it. That actually does really bug me.
I meant that as an offhanded comment, and then I went, "Oh shit."
Yeah, I said a bit more of an expansive conversation I thought it was going to be on Flash.
I came into this thinking, I'm quite positive, but I got nitpicks.
Yeah, I felt because it's actually a really easy read. The voice is good, the art is good, and I
Even though
like
there's a pacing problem with the structure of the issue, the
yeah,
flow is good.
and the first
I
chunk I like, but
that page where he let me find it again. It's where we're getting used to the grid panels, and then they all kind of disappear because he's running. Let me find it. Porter sets it up throughout the whole issue.
yeah, and it's the red and yellow panels come in as well.
Yeah, it's after he runs for the first time, and it's when he ends up in the time travel, because you get the cracker boom at the top, and then he kind of trips. So, and they all kind of fade away into the bottom piece.
Yeah, I wasn't actually a fan of that. Where
it.
you can still see the layout of the panels behind
Yeah.
him, and it just fades. Yeah, I didn't realize because again, that's that big empty space negative stuff that I wasn't feeling in this issue with the art. That was a big example of it, and Iris's introduction was another big moment where it was just her, it was all these newspaper headlines behind her, but on this just this plain white background didn't work for me.
I liked it
a lot.
I want to clarify just one point before we get to ratings.
Here we go.
It's like I don't mind them adding stuff to Origins if they do the Origin at a pace that makes sense and it's a new detail within the Origin. My problem here is that they rush through the Origin and then it's like, no, we're just doing this big new thing instead.
It really just felt like, the Origin. We don't actually need to do this.
And that's why I feel like I like it, because I like the swerve. So
I'd like it more if it was a secret Origin.
What are you rating them at?
I'd be an 8.5.
What are you rating it, Connor?
I have come down significantly to like a 6.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 6 as well.
Oh, wow.
Here's a question. Pete, before we started this conversation, what did you have it at?
Maybe a 7. I don't know. I hadn't thought about the number yet, but...
Fair. Okay. I had it at 7.5 beforehand.
I don't think about numbers I'm giving anything until we sit there and decide.